Hey guys, I'm working on a new type of valve for the web shooter. Let me bring some light over here, sorry. Sorry, this won't be able to be edited because it is a live stream. I gotta live stream it so that, actually let me use this, sorry. I'm live streaming it so that I don't have to take up storage on my phone because my phone is out of storage, unfortunately. And so, yeah, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to build this new valve that my dad and I designed. It's for the web shooter. So it's this. Alright, so the problem with the other valves, solenoids, well, for one, they're costly. They take about 12 volts power, I believe, which I don't really want to power my suit with. Sorry about that, I got a call. Anyways, I don't want to power my web shooters with more than a 9 volt, and I know they can run off of a 9 volt, but I don't really want an underpowered one, if that makes sense. Anyways, so the problem I had with that was the power consumption and sorry and just the overall, a lot of them are big, some of them are small, but they tend to be terrible quality in my opinion, like decent but not the best, not most reliable. So yeah, and lighter valves, which Brain Ion used, a lot of people with lighter web shooters used, obviously enough, but I just wasn't a big fan of that anyways. So, basically what happened with those was, with the lighter valves, when you press it, if you're using a fluid that turns into an actual web once you shoot it, such as the silly string fluid, then no, it's not for a science fair. If you shoot it, then sorry, I lost where I was. Oh yeah, if you shoot it through the valves from a lighter, then it will clog the spring, and I'm sorry, could you please stop talking in the comments? I'm not trying to be a jerk, I keep losing where I was thinking about, I'm sorry. So, the spring gets clogged, basically. It gets clogged with the silly string and stuff. Let me take off those. So, with the lighters valves, the spring gets clogged with all the fluid, because unfortunately, oh my god, people keep messaging me, they're gonna make me mad. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Anyways, let me see if there's a way to turn that. Alright, there we go. I figured out how to hide the chat. You guys can talk. I just won't be able to see it. Anyways, so I forgot what I was talking about. I'm so sorry, guys. Anyways, if you want to go to where I actually make the valve, just skip to the time that I'll put down in the description. So yeah, just skip there if you're watching this in the future. So the lighter valves always get clogged, which is why my old web shooters could only shoot a certain distance. They had a lot of fluid left in them that would turn into a string, but the valve itself was clogged, so I kept having to change those. So what I did to aid that was I built this, and this one doesn't get clogged at all from what I've used it so far. It's custom designed, just a little design I made. Basically what happens is there's a tube going in here. This is the intake. You hook this up to your cartridge. The tube goes here. It goes into this. The balloon seals it off, but it also keeps it shut. So when the tube is up next to the eraser, no fluid can flow through. When you pull it back, there's notches in the side of the eraser, so it can flow through the nozzle and out. So pretty simple design, but pretty easy to make. There's a little eraser, and then when I let go, gets stuck right there. And then when I pull back, it can flow through the notches that I've made. I can't tell if you can see those notches, but yeah, there's notches on the side of the eraser. So I'll show you guys how to make that. All you'll need, it's pretty cheap, pretty easy. It's about $2 to build, which is a lot better than most solenoids go for. I can't say the same for lighters, but lighters don't work, or at least for the fluid I'm using. So you'll need one of these. I believe it's Bic pencil. Yeah, it's a Bic pencil, just a regular old pencil, and two number 10, I believe it was, sized O-rings. I got it from this O-ring assortment kit thing. What's the number? Yeah, it's number 10. It's from Jones Stevens is the company, And yeah, that's where I got the O-rings, or my dad gave them to me, but that's the company that makes them. So tools-wise, you'll need scissors. Oh, and you'll also need a balloon. So yeah, about $1 for the pencil, or a pack of pencils, and $1 for the balloon, and then O-rings I just had around the house, so I'm not really sure how much they go for, but 2 shouldn't cost you very much. Alright, so I'll show you how to do it. Alright, so I got my little setup here. Again, sorry this is in portrait. I couldn't really find a way to set up the phone to where I could work and also show you guys without it being in portrait, because there's a notch at the end of this that my phone just sits in. Alright, so what we'll do is, what you can do first, let me move this stuff back. So you want to take the end off this pencil. Easy enough. Then you might want to take that lead out. It's up to you. Let me see if I can focus it. Nope, it won't let you focus during live streams. That's great. You just cut off right here, so that this can be taken out. You'll have this little nub left over, sticking out the end. Just cut that, and the other piece should fall at the end once you take this eraser out. See, this little tiny black piece was the end of that. So now you just have this tube. It has a couple holes along it, but that's not a problem yet. Now you have this, but you need to get that spring out. Oh, the spring just came out for me. If it gets stuck, then you might just use some lead to get it out. So you have this tube, or these 2 tubes, and the end of this pencil. Now what you'll need to do is cut this down to size. Mine is about this long. So I'll cut it about right there. So about an inch from where the cap meets it. Once you put the cap on, just cut that right there. Sorry, it's kind of hard to work and show you guys what I'm doing at the same time. But I'm just gonna cut it. Sure is a way to pause the stream. Oh, there we go. So now that you've cut it, you'll notice usually this won't be nearly as clean, so you'll have to take your scissors, go around the inside to clean it, because if you don't, then your tube won't be able to fit in as well. So just spin them around like that. Get some of that crap cleaned up. And see if it fits. Yep, that fits nicely now. Inside. Now, all you gotta do is put this on the end. I forgot to mention earlier, you will want to save your eraser. The eraser is very important. So what you'll do now is take the eraser and make a cut going up the side of it like this. If I can do that without cutting myself, but make sure that the amount of eraser you leave when cutting it is larger than the diameter of the inner hole of this black tube. See, if I could get that to focus, it'd be great, but I can't. Anyways, but that tube going right there will fit on there, and see, it's still covered. So yeah, that fits. Make sure this will be the end I'm using. So yep, that works. And then what you want to do is put the eraser in here, push it a little bit, and see how far you can get it comfortable. Put it in. So it just went flying. Let me go get it. Well, I lost it. Oops. That sucks. I'll be right back. Alright, so sorry, I had to pause the stream for a little bit. I got another eraser, so I'll just chop it like I was doing. Right along there. Kind of curve around it like I said. Like I say, it's kind of hard to show you guys and to do it. But you get the memo. Cut it this way. Trying not to cut my finger. Woohoo! Also, if there's a little black circle on yours where the pencil was showing up, that just shows about where you can cut to. From where the lead was. See? So I cut it a little bit short, but when it curves in on itself, it won't really matter. So take this piece down here and shove the end in, and then push it in until you can comfortably stop, and just cut that rest off. Make sure that this still works. Yep. Seems a little bit off, but this is just a demo one anyways. You get the idea, I believe. So yeah. Now just cut about where the last hole is. Let me get my other one. I'm trying to keep it about the same length. I'll cut it right here. And my erasers are different lengths between them. So the tube will be different lengths, but I want the ending of the tube to be about the same. If that makes sense. So now what you want to do is take this, push it up against the eraser, and as you do that, blow into the end and make sure no air comes out. Then pull it back, blow, and then you should be able to feel some air coming out of there. So that worked for me. If it didn't for you, then you probably got the eraser in wrong. It's no biggie. Just take the cap off and push it out with like a paper clip or something, and just get another one. Now comes the fun part. What you'll want to do with your balloon, stick this in the end of your balloon, like so. I didn't put it in backwards. Oops. What you want to do, really tiny hole right here, as tiny as you possibly can. This way it will self-seal around the black piece when you put it on, if that makes sense. Alright, so I got my little tiny hole right there, if you can see it. Now I just need to push the black piece in there. Careful not to rip any other spots, or else you'll have to start over with this step. I hope you guys can hear this, because I do believe that I have the mic covered up. Fantastic. Let me check the chat. Can you guys hear me? I do not have the same tools to make this. You don't have scissors and a pencil? What? But can you hear me? I don't know. Anyways, let's just hope they can. If not, oops. So then you'll just pull this right down here, like this. Now what you want to do, try to keep this to the end. What you want to do is put your O-ring right there. Kind of hold down the balloon, and then pull the O-ring to keep the balloon, so you don't pull it down. Then pull the balloon and push down on the end of this pencil. What you want to do is take this O-ring. Actually, let's just slide this one down farther, and we'll just put the other one on in its place. So this is to keep this one arms out there for pencils, but you get the gist, I hope. If not, get screwed. I have a little bit of trouble, sorry. I'm trying to make it to where you guys can see it, but also to where I can do it. Oops. Let's pull this ring down the rest of the way. This is so freaking hard to do when you're trying to record. It was easier when I was doing it without recording. A little bit difficult, but not nearly as hard as doing it while you're recording. So I apologize for the amount of time this is taking. Alright, there we go. Once you get it onto the actual biggest tube, the larger tube, it should be pretty much a walk in the park. But up until that point is the hard part. So now you just gotta pull it back up to the top of the black part. If I can. There we go. Woohoo, I did it. I don't know why, but I just felt this weird thing compelling me to sing the We Did It Dora song. What is my life? I'll pull this down a little bit more. God! Where'd that other O-ring go? Right there. I'm trying to get this to top. Oh, that's great. I just pulled it right out. So I'm gonna cut off some of this so it's easier to work with. I'm probably going to regret that later on. Woohoo! Science. I'm so sorry, guys. Like I say, it's super hard to record this and do it at the same time. Easier when you're not recording, I promise. Or at least it was for me when I was designing it. So just pull this to the end of this. I'll pull the balloon up if I can. Ha! I always win. Let's put this O-ring on the end. And pull this piece down here tight. I don't know why it's not. This piece is supposed to get stuck on here, but it's not sticking for some reason. And that is highly frustrating. Anyways, I'll be right back. This weird crap that is, this weird crap is like a lubricant. It's like a solid lubricant, if that makes sense. It's like baby powder. Yeah, like baby powder type stuff. And so, if you put the inside going towards the tube, then it will like roll all around it, which you don't want, obviously. So what you need to do is have the outside of the balloon going towards the outside of the tube, so it needs to be like pointing inside, if that makes sense. So yeah, that was the problem. I also completely messed up the tube I was using, so now I gotta kind of restart on that. So woohoo, kill me. Anyways, I'm currently getting a yellow balloon that I believe will work, so luckily let me just fix it. So I'm sorry, guys. This was supposed to be just like a little happy-go-lucky stream, but then it wasn't. God. This thing is really getting personal. Alright. So I'm currently putting the tube, or the balloon over the tube. Why do I say tube so weird? Instead of tube, I say tube. What's up with that? What's up with that, WCIS? Why you talk so weird? Huh? How about you tell me why you talk so weird, WCIS? Anyway, why am I talking to myself in the third person? What the heck? It's even weirder. Okay, so I got the balloon on, I got the O-ring on, now I just gotta pull it over just like a sleeve. I have the outside of the balloon pointing inside to where the rubbery part is sticking to it. So yeah, I fixed it, basically. Had to get a different balloon because I've done ripped apart the other one. Oops. So now I just need to put this O-ring on here. And the best way I found for that was to have some excess balloon going off. I told you I would regret cutting off the end of that balloon. So have some excess on here. And just pull it, just thread it through the O-ring. That way you can just roll it up on the pencil. Then you can cut off the excess later. So we'll just roll it onto here. Sorry, you can't really see that. Let me cut off this excess so I can get to it better. For some reason, all of a sudden, I got Howlin' For You by Black Keys going through my head all of a sudden. Just out of nowhere. Baby, I'm howling for you. Do, 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 do. Alright, make sure my cat fell off, so I gotta put it back on. Now pull this tight. Make sure your balloon is nice and tight. Ah, crap. Been slid down the black tube. It won't matter too much in the long run. Apparently it will. Gah! This is really starting to make me mad. I love how the first time I did it, it worked out just fine. Because I wasn't showing anybody. And now that I'm actually doing a live stream with it, trying to replicate it, there's no way this is going to work. Why? Why? Just, God, why? I think an easier thing to do than O-rings would just be to tape this on. I don't have any tape, so I think I'll just use a rubber band. Just doubled over a lot. That's what I'll do. Actually, I'll just use this piece of a balloon. I'll just twist it like a lot of times. And that'll keep it in place. And that'll be what I do. High-tech fix for a high-tech problem. Alright, here we go. Oh, that's even better. There we go. I'm glad it took me so long to discover that. Because I'm an idiot. Now that we got that, like I just wrapped the ringy piece from the balloon around that. So now you just gotta cut off this excess. God. For a genius, I sure am an idiot. Just kidding, I'm not a genius. Alright. The amount of people telling me that I'm a genius in the comments is kind of unsettling, given how basic the stuff I do is. Like, I'm literally making a little valve out of a freaking balloon and a pencil right now. Let's put the cap on. So yeah, I got this finally. So basically you pull back on this. When you pull back, it releases air. When you let up, it pulls it up against the eraser. So when you blow in the end of this, when it's closed, or when you're not touching it, it's closed. When you're pulling back on it, it's open. So when you aren't holding that and you just blow in the end, nothing should come out of right here. When you do pull it back, then stuff should come out of there. So what I'll have is a servo to pull this back. And yeah, that'll be it. Let me try to test it. So I'll blow on it like this. Nothing comes out at all. Then I'll bite it and pull it. Stuff's coming out. One unforeseen feature is that the balloon kind of inflates, but that's not really a big problem. I don't think I cut my notch in my eraser big enough because not enough air is flowing through, but I can fix that later. That's the basic overview. So here's the original, here's the new one. The original is easier to pull back and it's just overall better. The new one's okay, I guess. Harder to pull back, not as much airflow, so I could use that for like a different project, but this is the official one. let me actually add this little O-shaped thingamajig like I did to the other one, just for extra stability. I have the O-ring, but here's the end of that balloon, is what I'm talking about. Just cut off the little piece that you put your mouth on. And yeah. I got the chat muted, so I should probably read through those chats in a second. This will just add to the stability overall. Or it should at least. Whoopity-doopity. Whoopty-doopty. Your boy's good at English. Man. Alright. So here's the new valve design for the web shooter. Pull back on here, it's open. You let up, it's closed. So, when I have low, can't hear any airflow. When I pull, I don't know if you can hear it, but when I blow, definitely air comes out. So yeah, pretty simple design. I'm kind of afraid that this will get filled with like webbing and then it will cure, but I don't think that will happen because I don't think there's really enough air or enough room for air to flow back in here. It's kind of the same thing with reflow with like kind of the flame saber, for example. With when you're dealing with pyrotechnics, when there's a tube and it's filled with explosive gas or something like that, if you have, the reason they have such thin nozzles to spray it is so that air can't travel back into it at a later time and explode the stuff that's the residual stuff inside the tube, because it's harder for air to go back inside of it when it's a smaller hole, especially when the hole is at an angle going in. If you imagine trying to put air into an angle like this with a very small hole as opposed to something funnel shaped like this, air could easily go into that. So it's kind of the same deal with webbing. If you have something like a pencil cap, I actually cut off the end of this pencil cap to where there was a little bit more air room, but not much more. I just kind of did it so it was kind of more blunt, but they're still about the same size diameter hole. But since air can't really get through this, and it definitely probably won't, that's kind of contradictory, but since it most likely won't get back past this eraser piece, it probably won't get back into this chamber back here. So my main worry with it getting clogged is inside this piece right here. So when it gets from the eraser to the nozzle, I'm afraid that it will cure, because this, before I shoot it, will definitely be filled with air, because that's just inevitable. That's how air works. So I'm afraid that that will cure before it will shoot out. I'm afraid that I won't have enough pressure to release that. Luckily, I could just take off the cap, pull it out. That was something you couldn't do with the old stuff because it was the valve itself that got clogged. Now there's a secondary, it's like a secondary compartment that you can pull off and clean out without taking apart the whole thing and decompressing it. So that's very convenient. What I think I'll probably do is have this piece, this back tube, be stationary, epoxied down, and then have it go to another valve that goes to a cartridge. The cartridge will plug directly onto this, I believe. Like the cartridge will have like a little rubber piece, and then the rubber piece will fit over this with like an O-ring. And then I'll have a servo, and the servo horn will go to a bar that goes to this. So when the servo horn goes forward, it'll push this forward. So this piece will be stationary. So it'll be the nozzle actuating back and forth, which will open and close my new valve that my dad and I created. So shout out to him. Thanks. Couldn't have done it without you. Yeah, I'll try to get some pieces. I lost my servo and I fried my last web shooter. I had this big, long, ongoing project that was going to be like a big surprise, kind of like Brain Ion's Generation 2, but at least his electronics worked. Because mine worked, but then two wires crossed. I saw a flash of light as it went up in flames. Literally, it just literally caught on fire, because that's why I don't use lithium-ion batteries and connect the wires together on accident. Apparently I had like this one little wire that flipped over and bridged between positive and negative, and it literally caught on fire. So I need to get a new servo, a new LCD, maybe a new capacitive touch sensor board from Adafruit if I want to have multiple points. Like what my ideal thing would be to have like a capacitive touch button right here and like 4 to where I could select, like I could have one be select forward, this be select back, and these two be shoot. That way I could have different selections, and then I could have a spray bottle nozzle right here with another servo, a secondary servo, where the horn goes this way, and then have another piece going like this, so I could turn the nozzle of a spray bottle type thing to where I could change how much comes out, and then I could have different modes, like a widespread mode where it makes like a widespread web, or a straight web, or something like that. That would be my ideal thing. Another problem with that is, however, I'm afraid that the fluid will also cure inside that. The big thing with this is getting the fluid to cure outside of the nozzle. If there was a way to do that, life would be so much easier. Unfortunately, since it has a lot to do with pressure, when it goes, the way that the silly string formula works, at least to my understanding, is that it's under so much pressure that it's a liquid, but then when it comes out to this pressure, it expands into like a, well, silly string. Not really an expansion, but it does expand a little bit. So, if we could find a way to have this be pressurized while also letting it flow out, that would be ideal. But there's not really a way to do that. It's kind of impossible. Because you could have a one... Here's the problem. If you have to keep this at the same pressure as the web cartridge. So if the cartridge is pressurized and this is pressurized, then the only way to keep the pressure from escaping would be having another valve. And that valve would add more length to it. And everywhere inside that valve would either be high pressure from the cartridge, and then the other side of the valve would be low pressure from outside. So there would also be a small region between that where the piston, for like a solenoid, for example, you can use any type of valve for this except one of those ball valves that you manually move with your hand, but that's a bit large. But anything like that, you will have an area of both pressure where the fluid will get stuck and shoot out. Let's say this is my nozzle. This is just a bigger version. My nozzle is obviously much smaller, but let's say the nozzle itself is just the cartridge. Let's say, and there's the valve right here, and this is the nozzle. So if I open up the valve, boop, like that, and the fluid flows from the cartridge into this, then when I close the valve again, there will still be all of this. So that will cure. So when I open up the valve again, this will be full of webbing, and it won't be able to shoot out because it's such a such a small diameter hole. So if I do that, everything inside the nozzle and back until you get to the valve actuator itself will cure, and that will clog it. So that's the problem. So unless you can find some way to equalize the pressure to where it gets back into a fluid, there's kind of nothing you can do unless you had it go to... The problem is reservoirs, in my opinion. Unless you had it go to directly from this to the nozzle, cut off this part and just have a hole right there. Because what you want is a bit of a reservoir so that you can shoot it and it won't spurt unreliably. If you just have a little bit in here, if you just have enough in there, then you are relying on what goes from the cartridge. If you have a reservoir, every little bit from the cartridge pushes on the reservoir, proportionally shooting out how much pressure you give out in the form of the web fluid, I mean. So, say I have a bottle. The bottle is filled with water. There's a big hole in the end of the bottle, right? Say I have an air pump under the bottle. If I have a little bit of water in the air pump, and I squeeze the air pump, but only air comes out, or in the water comes out, then the water will come out of the top. But if only air comes out of the air pump, then it'll just kind of, you know, it'll still push water out. I'm sorry. It'll still push the water out, even if just air travels in, which is about the same thing with web shooters. So if you can get a reservoir, the bottle in this case being the representation of a reservoir. If you get a reservoir together, then it will be a straighter, longer line altogether, in my opinion, or in my experience. Also, a lower diameter hole will also do that for you. So yeah, just my input on it. Oh crap, it's been about an hour. Sorry. Let me show the chat. Oh, I'm sorry. Yo, Dallas, what's up, fam? I don't know if he's still here. I hope he's still here. It's been 2 minutes, so I hope Dallas is still here. Sorry, man. I was doing the stream and had the chat muted. You guys can talk, but... Yo, Dallas. I got a screenshot of that so I can hit him up later. Of course, it screenshots like as soon as the chat stops. Anyways, everybody in the chat can talk now. It was just while I was working. Like, you guys can talk now. I had it muted anyways, but... Yeah, here's the valve. It opens up, shoots out, closes. Boom. Web shooters. Explosions. Science. Anyways, holy crap. Light, I'm turning this off. Sorry, now it's dark, but I can't have that light in my eyes anymore. I'm not doing it. Look what I just found. It's the original sketch for my logo that I then digitized and then drew over in Pixlr. Boom. Yeah, boom. Bada bing, bada boom. Anyways, there's that. I hope you guys like it. Thanks for watching. Sorry it's been such a freaking long stream. It was just supposed to be a quick how-to. Oh. I had the microphone covered. Oops. Yeah, it's kind of hard to do. Anyways, so thanks for watching. Sorry it was kind of a long, crappy stream. Had a lot of bugs I had to work out, but not really much I can do about it. Anyways, thanks for watching. Peace out. Hope you learned something. Hope you're having a great day. Like and subscribe if you haven't. And yeah, peace. If I can figure out how to end it. How do I end it? There we go. Bye.